Hi guys, welcome to my channel. In today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to draft the pattern of this tight bodycon dress with no cut on the waist. So this is a dress that has no cut on the waist. It's just straight and tight fitting. If you'd love to watch more sewing and pattern drafting videos, make sure you subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. To make my dress pattern, the first thing I'm going to do is fold my pattern paper. As you can see, my pattern paper is on fold, and I'm going to draw a horizontal line that is 1 inch below the top part. So that 1 inch I'm leaving above there is for the seam allowance to seam the shoulders when connecting the dress. So make sure you leave at least 1 inch on top. Then next, I'm going to label the folded part as my center front. So this is why my fabric is on fold and it is the center front. So after labeling my center front, I'm now going to label this top part as my shoulder line. Okay, so next I'm going to get my measuring tape and mark my neck width measurement of 3.5 inches. So this is a standard measurement of 3.5 inches for an average woman. Then next I'm going to mark my neck depth of 4 inches. So you can determine how deep you want your neckline to be. I'm going to work with 4 inches. So I'm going to curve my neckline by connecting these 2 points, like I am doing. Then next I'm going to mark my shoulder measurement, which was taken by placing the measuring tape from one tip of the shoulder to the other, then divide by 2. So my shoulder to shoulder measurement was 16 inches. 16 divided by 2 gave me 8 inches. Then next I'm going to slant my shoulder by coming down by 1 inch on the shoulder line, and then I'm going to connect it to my neck width. It's very important to slant your shoulder because our shoulders are somehow slanted. They're not really straight, unless if you're making for somebody who works out a lot and maybe their shoulders have been turned straight, you can leave it like that, but it's important to slant the shoulder. Then next I'm going to put my armhole measurement, which is taken by pressing the measuring tape around the armhole, then divide by 2. So my armhole measurement is 8.5. I'm going to mark it there. Then right on my armhole measurement, I'm going to draw a horizontal line, and this horizontal line is going to be my chest line. So I'm going to mark this as my chest line, but before I do that, let me just connect my armhole down to the chest line. So I'll just label it as my chest line. Then next I'm going to find the midpoint of my armhole. Then on the midpoint I'm going to go inwards by ½ an inch. So I'm going inwards by ½ an inch because I want to separate the front armhole from the back armhole. So the front armhole is more deep than the back, so I'm just shaping the front armhole by connecting this to the ½ inch and curving down. So I have 2 here. The other one is the front armhole and the other one is the back armhole. The next, so this is the front armhole and that is the back. So next I'm going to find my shoulder to bust measurements by placing the measuring tape from the tip of my shoulder down to my bust, and my shoulder to bust is 10.5. I'll mark it right there and draw a horizontal line, which I'm going to label as my bust line. Next I'm going to find my shoulder to waist measurement. So my shoulder to waist measurement is 16 inches. You place the measuring tape from the tip of your shoulder down to your waist. the smallest part of the body. So I'm going to label this as my waist. Then next I'm going to find my shoulder to hip measurement by placing the measuring tape down to my hip, which is the fullest part. And I'm going to draw a horizontal line and label it as my hip line. The next I'm going to find the full length of my dress by placing the measuring tape from my shoulder down to where I want it to end, or you can place the measuring tape from your waist, to wherever you want your dress full length to be. So I'm going to draw a horizontal line and I'm going to label this as the full length of the gown. Then next I'm going to put the bust circumference, waist circumference, hip circumference, and full length divide by 4. So I'm going to start with the bust. I'll place the measuring tape around my bust, then divide by 4. On my waist divide by 4, and on my hip divide by 4. So begin with the bust. My bust circumference divide by 4 plus wherein is so I'm not adding the seam allowance. I'll add the seam allowance on my fabric. So you can add the seam allowance right on the pattern paper or on the fabric. I prefer adding it on my fabric. Then I'm going to go to my waistline. Waist circumference divide by 4 plus wherein is of 0.5 inches. On my hip line, hip circumference divide by 4 plus wherein is of 0.25 inches. Then on the full length of the dress, I'll get the measurement on my hip. Whatever I found on my hip here, I'll subtract 1.5 inch or 1 inch. If you want it a bit penciled, use 1.5 or 1 inch. So I'll just use 1 inch here. Then I'm going to connect the points. And on the hip line, before I connect, I'm going to go upwards by 1 inch. Then I'm going to connect this. Like I'm doing. Then I'm going to go downwards by 1 inch. Downwards 1 inch, then connect down there. And I'm going to connect it down there. So this is how you easily shape your dress pattern, one flowing straight dress pattern without cutting on the waist. Thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you found it useful.